I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime, and this is Currents.
Saluting a place of note, one of the world's tiniest opera houses.
The Heights are alive with the sound of music.
It's great to have people to bring the church out into the street and have the street come into the church.
And singing is praying twice. These people take it seriously.
The idea that we can enjoy being in church, the idea that we can enjoy praising God, that it's not a burden.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, for more than 60 years, one of the world's smallest opera companies has given music lovers an up-close and personal view of some classics while training up-and-coming singers.
Absolutely. Anthony Amato and his wife Sally founded the Amato Opera Company back in 1948 at Our Lady of Pompeii Church in Greenwich Village. Earlier this year, the curtain came down for the very last time. It's too bad. But before that, we did have a chance to speak with the company's co-founder.
My name is Anthony Amato, but they all call me Tony. I'm the opera director of the Amato Opera Theater. Curtain opening. Okay, come right out, Claudia. It got started 61 years ago, doing little shows in high schools, in church auditoriums, and then years later we got this whole building here and built this theater, this intimate theater of 107 seats. We take young artists with great musical background, and they want the experience of learning the standard repertoire so they could get the flavor and the style, and then go out and audition and hoping to make a career for themselves, because it's very difficult. The most difficult art there is to be successful in. But the wonderful consolation is that a young artist who studies years, learns the repertoire, learns the feeling what a conductor does, eventually start his own little group. Eventually he will go home in a small town out west someplace and start an opera shop. And that's what hope happens to a lot of my young singers, and that's another great feeling. Yeah, so they're using their talent, their information, putting it to action. Can be taught, it can. And Figaro will thus become my husband.
And Figaro will thus become my
husband. To do all this, it takes a life's work. And it takes a mate. The way I had my dear Sally, who passed away 10 years ago, and is willing to work 15 hours a day practically. So it's a lot of work, and it takes years to achieve. You get many moments, I just can't do it physically, mentally. The pressure is tremendous. But then, when you see the project you're working on come to life, it dispels everything other, any negative feeling you had. We present the opera here in a way that you cannot be achieved in a big theater. The intimacy here, the warmth of the production comes across the footlights, the facial expression, the acting, which is very important.
You will outwit them, you will outwit them, you will outwit them.
Well, there's a few people that are bitter about my closing the theater, but the majority, more than the majority, 99% of the people are happy for me. Well, there's a sad feeling, and I'm very happy with what I've achieved. And I thank God for that I still have my health and the opportunity to continue my work with opera. Splendid, I'll do all I can. Make a gesture, go, go. I'll do all I can to come out after then. Once again, splendid.
Such a great story.
Is he not the cutest thing? So much life in his eyes, so passionate about that, all the years of work he put into it.
Well, and he said, in the piece that he has these moments where, I just can't do it physically.
Sure.
You certainly couldn't tell from what we just saw.
No matter what age.
Right. He's just absolutely full of life. And you also heard him say that he is continuing in opera, so you might be wondering what his next move will be. Well, Anthony Amato says that his next move is to start a foundation to provide scholarships for young singers.
Wants to keep it alive.
That's right.
In some way, shape, or form. Well, stay tuned. There's much more current straight ahead. Coming up later, the Current Symphony continues. It's a music day today with a music program bringing new life to a Queens parish. But just ahead, a prominent Catholic family mourns a beloved sister. And a Vatican chapel gets a breath of fresh air.
It was probably the most important restoration that the Holy See ever undertook.
Welcome back to Currents. I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure. Coming up later in the show, a Queens parish experiences revival. But first, let's turn to the day's headlines. Eunice Kennedy Shriver, the sister of the late President John F. Kennedy and the founder of the Special Olympics, passed away this morning. As a Kennedy, of course, Shriver came from one of the most prominent Irish Catholic families in America. She founded the Special Olympics to give mentally challenged children the opportunity to play sports. Shriver died following a recent series of strokes. She was 88 years old. Catholics in Vietnam continue their protests against violence. 500,000 parishioners took to the streets, demanding the government return seized property and put an end to the weeks of violence perpetrated against Vietnamese Catholics. Protesters also called for the release of 3 Catholics still in custody. They were arrested July 20th for building a makeshift worship area.
From Pakistan now, Catholic bishops say the government should repeal blasphemy laws following the recent incident in which 7 Catholics were burnt alive. Muslims responded violently after accusations that a Christian family desecrated the Quran. At least 80 Muslims have since been arrested. A new study finds that today's priests and nuns are more ethnically diverse and more conservative. The Georgetown University study finds that while whites account for 94% of current nuns and priests, they currently account for 58% of those in the process of joining orders. The study also finds that people considering religious orders are more attracted to orders that practice traditional prayer rituals and wear habits. Vocations are not the only place where traditions are being restored. As we hear now from Rome Reports, a refurbishment also took place over at the Vatican.
The Pauline Chapel is the last chapel that Michelangelo painted. These frescoes are nearly 500 years old. With good reason, the Vatican has just restored them.
It was probably the most important restoration and the biggest restoration and the most complex restoration that the Holy See ever undertook.
It took Michelangelo about 8 years to paint them, and it's taken Vatican artists 5 years to restore them. The total cost of the project was $4.6 million. Michelangelo's last 2 frescoes, the Conversion of St. Paul and the Crucifixion of St. Peter, have recovered their former glory. Painting these frescoes was a challenge for Michelangelo, who had just finished The Last Judgment in the Sistine Chapel, and at the same time was working on the construction of St. Peter's Basilica and the design of the dome.
I was on the scaffolding at the same point as Michelangelo, when at the age of 67 he began this project. And he painted it with such sluggishness, not only because he no longer wanted to paint, but also because he regretted that the roof had collapsed and the rain had ruined his job, and because they hadn't signed his contract and wasn't paid on time.
During the restoration, the experts discovered this amazing self-portrait of Michelangelo in one of the frescoes. The artist depicted his tiredness and old age in the face of St. Paul. They were also able to identify the last strokes of the artist.
We've discovered what was the last working day of Michelangelo. And we've also discovered which were his last strokes, which are depicted in this group of women who cry at the foot of St. Peter's cross.
I find it fascinating they can tell when his last strokes were,
I know,
or where they were, I should say.
I know. It's amazing. That's a technology, you know.
$4.6 million to restore that, while as many as 4 million people visit the Vatican museums every year. So, good investment there. Well, stay tuned. There's much more current straight ahead. Coming up.
Taking it to the streets in downtown Brooklyn.
What I am really hoping to do is to bring the music outside of the church walls and to let people know that we are here.
Well, it's hot outside, isn't it?
It is.
Well, you can enjoy the summer in many ways, and whether you enjoy, say, some music in Prospect Park, music in Central Park, or, you know, you want to stay inside in the cool inside your living room, we all know that music is one way you can enjoy summer, and it is definitely in the air. A Brooklyn Heights church has kind of gotten into the spirit of things, hoping to strike the right note with their original summer series.
Absolutely. It has brought music from inside the church out to the sidewalk, out to the public. And I recently stopped by to have a listen.
This church, particularly Brooklyn Heights, is a great neighborhood, very historic, and it's really nice to have the crowd out.
And the crowd came to the First Presbyterian Church of Brooklyn. From Brooklyn Heights neighbors to regular church congregants, all ears were open to enjoy the New York Brass Choir. The free concert series is the brainchild of the church's Minister of Music, Amy Nooner.
What I am really hoping to do is to bring the music outside of the church walls and to let people know that we are here, that we are Christians, that we love God, that we love to praise and worship through our music.
From ragtime to rondos, these trumpets and trombones took their music to the streets. They also engaged the crowd by encouraging a sing-along.
Last week we had a lot of people from our church community that came and sang and supported and had a great night. Tonight we only had about 5 people from our own congregation, but so many people from the neighborhood and community.
It's exciting, especially as a member of the church. It's great to have people to bring the church out into the street and have the street come into the church.
Tell me, you were just walking home tonight?
Right.
And you heard this, and then what?
I started immediately. I couldn't believe it because it was just wonderful. And I didn't even know this was taking place here.
Music is something that's very special. It crosses lines, crosses boundaries, crosses languages, and it's there for everyone. And the fact that the church is providing these free concerts is really something special.
But not everyone's singing its praises. One neighbor complained of noise.
I don't think they should be complaining. I think they should be rejoicing. First of all, good live music is always good. I don't think it was obtrusive.
But they say they ain't misbehaving, and most people agree.
I'm an old lady, okay? Back in 1954, when I was in high school band in Baldwin, Kansas, we played a couple of those. So I was particularly enjoying it because I was reaching back to my roots.
And they'll keep sharing their sweet sounds all summer long.
In this economic climate, people need something to be able to go out and enjoy. And a free concert outdoors in their own community is incredible. It's just great.
I think that music is really an essential element, at least for me, of worship.
As long as the sound of music floats through the night air. You think you might be back next week? They have guitar.
Yeah, I'm counting on it.
So much fun. Some sounds of summer at the First Presbyterian Church in Brooklyn Heights.
Looks like you had so much fun.
It was basically what I loved about it was that people who wouldn't otherwise even know that really recognize there was a church there, they're kind of like, what is this?
Right.
You know, and even in Prospect Park around the way here in Windsor Terrace, I think on Thursday nights they have outdoor concerts and stuff. Definitely not, affiliated with a particular church, but just people can enjoy music outside.
Yeah, and it's an attention grabber for the church, definitely. And what makes me want to pick up a horn again. I actually play trumpet and French horn.
I did not know.
So
hey,
it makes me want to kind of go
as long as it's not the tuba.
Right. No room for a tuba in the studio, I don't think.
Not
but
so much.
It makes me want to kind of dust off the old trumpet.
Well,
or French
I'd go
horn
call
there.
Dean Carahalis. He might be looking for some backup.
Right. Definitely have to be a backup because I've been a little out of practice lately.
Well, those concerts are going to continue at least through the rest of August on Thursday nights. So if you want to go by in Brooklyn Heights, if you're in the neighborhood, check it out.
All right. Well, stay tuned. We have much more current straight ahead.
Coming up, experiencing the joy of gospel music.
There's just like a bond, and when we sing, there's a spiritual upliftment for not only the members, but for those that we're performing for.
Well, from Brooklyn to Queens now, we visited Sacred Heart Church in Cambria Heights and learned how a group of young men and women have actually been helping revive their parish with gospel music.
It is called The Experience, and an experience it really is. It's got parishioners at Sacred Heart clapping their hands and making a joyful noise. Tonight, the singers of The Experience, our eyewitness.
We have fun right before we about to praise the Lord because it is all good. That's what we like doing. We like going out there. We like cutting a rug, all of that stuff. For the Lord, it's all good.
Reviving the Catholic Church, as we say.
Reviving the Catholic Church?
Yes.
That's one of our goals as a group. Get people up, get them motivated to celebrate Jesus.
I want everybody to be excited. I want everybody to have fun and enjoy themselves, not just sit down and just go through the motions. Like, really be into it, right?
Michael is wonderful with his music. He writes, he produces all of his music, and it just keeps us extremely busy. And the funny thing is, when you think he has one song, he can change that one song like 12 different times.
Right.
So you're constantly going.
There's just like a bond, and when we sing, there's a spiritual upliftment for not only the members, but for those that we're performing for.
I'm looking for, I want to touch people. That's really what I'm looking for more than anything else. I want people to really just be excited and to, really enjoy the music, feel the music, and be able to express themselves through us, through our song.
Basically just to touch them so they can have an experience.
The feedback, because when you sit in church, people are not always giving you feedback on the songs you sing besides a regular clap. Whereas now within the concert, we pretty much see the Spirit, lifting them, and they're enjoying themselves. They don't have to worry about, if they're, coming out of their shells too much, because, as Roman Catholics, we're supposed to sit there and just, clap. But this is a time where they can release how they feel. And
Stand
if they feel
up,
the Spirit,
jump,
exactly.
Catch the Holy Ghost, pray.
Just enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
Get the message of praise and see those who are out there to receive what it is that they're projecting, a cheerful look, enjoyment. And it's about all I can give in the Lord's name.
I believe that we're here to send a message to the people, to Catholic people and people who want to listen, people who have their ears and hearts open. Listening for the Word of God, the idea that we can enjoy being in church, the idea that we can enjoy praising God, that it's not a burden, that it's a joy and it's fun.
The main thing is that everyone gets that experience, that spiritual experience, because we're all here, regardless of that we're singing. We all love music, but we're also here to praise and to say thank you to God and that we're doing the right thing, and we're saying thank you for everything, because He is the beginning and the end. We give Him the almighty praise, the hallelujah, everything.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
He's here all night, y'all.
I got a praise song.
He's here all night.
He's here all night.
That is The Experience at Sacred Heart Parish in Cambria Heights. tonight's eyewitness. And definitely a different way to express like Catholicism, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think of gospel music, I think of the South, I think of a lot more, I don't know, I mean, you would know more than me, but those kinds of traditions, it's nice to see it brought into, you know, Catholic.
A Catholic church in New York City.
Why not?
Because, I mean, yeah, it is, gospel music is associated a lot with the South, and there's Southern gospel music, which is, you know, more of, like, I guess, the country type sound with a little bit of twang to it. And then there's more of the African American gospel music, which is more along the lines of what they do at the Experience. And it's just neat to see that you know, that people have different ways of expressing musically their faith. And we've definitely seen that tonight.
Absolutely, we sure have. It was the music show today, which is good.
Right, I love that.
I do
It's a
too.
little theme to the show.
Well, that is all for this musical edition of Currents. Coming up on tomorrow's show, spreading the message 1 megabyte at a time.
Be sure and tune in for that one. And remember, you can always watch us online, I guess 1 megabyte at a time. netny.net/currents is the website. We'd also like to hear from you. Don't be afraid to send us an email. Drop us a line at currentsny.net is the email address. Thank you so much for watching this edition of Currents. I'm Matt McClure.
And I am Francesca Maxime. Have a great night and stay cool.